James Melendez. Today I'm here to talk about organizing orbits, O2s as I call them. It's a methodology to help team members to access information they need to do their work, such as documents, data, apps, systems, and tools, and more. Stay tuned. So I use a word cloud to begin a presentation because I think it's important. So when I think about this, it was a subject matter that's important to me because I've been in many organizations, and I developed this methodology because I decided it was essential to think about an organizing orbit, an O2, separately and differently from a tech stack. We've all received a tech stack in most organizations that we've worked in. They're pretty unhelpful in my opinion, and it's really a landscape of what you might find if you just looked on the internet and just looked at systems. And so one organization that I worked at had 5 different instances of SAP. I never knew which one I was to utilize, and so ultimately over time I finally figured it out. But it was a bit of time for me to get there. But I think there's a better and organized way to do so, such as the O2. Now this is a part of team excellence, which I view as a very important, essential component for getting teams to be engaged, to work together, and to create efficiencies, and also to create innovation. Now it's locating the right information in the right place at the right time using an O2. It's about version control. So many people in an organization do not know what the final version is, and we've all been there. This is also a mindset, getting people to think differently about how they do their work, how to be more organized, and how to pass that on forward to other team members as well. It's also asking for this information. So an organization that knows how to do this, that's really advanced, and actually it doesn't have to be that advanced to do something this efficient and helpful. So it's a commitment to the enterprise. It's meeting expectation that so many of our team members have. So this can be created by a manager of an organization, a project leader, a workstream leader, and this can also be created by an individual contributor. That's important because that'll empower that individual to understand the landscape of the organization. So helping that individual contributor who might want to contribute and create an O2 for her or his organization, helping out each team member, and also helping each team member board to the organization more efficiently. So organizing an O2 is really fundamentally having one place to access work. Now, even in our days where we have an intranet, and we may have Slack, we may have email, we may have a guide given out by HR on our first day of work, but it's still not quite enough. In a complex organization, which many of us work in, I'm not just part of one team, I'm part of several teams. I could be part of a project team, my homeroom team, which is my department team, my work stream, and other teams as well. It's understanding the responsibility and function of that particular team, and they're all going to be different. So in any organization, you could have several O2s. I've seen many organizations who just use one tech stack, and you have to pick and choose what's really meant for you or not. I think this is much more specific, much more helpful. It is not a time soak to implement and to institute this. It's also about welcoming somebody to your organization. I think I've heard too many times where a manager might say, well, I did it on my own. That's great, but not everybody thinks like that particular manager. Or somehow it's a badge of courage you have to struggle through to understand, about learning curve. Yes, there's always a learning curve in any organization. Every organization has a learning curve. Some of them don't need to be as, say, a vertical climb as they tend to be. Let's help each team member board the organization much more, I would say, efficiently, but also helping team members over time to remember, oh yeah, that's right, I know where that document lives. Yes, I can refer to my O2 to locate that particular data point that I need. So I can look at that particular O2 to pull that information, to look for that system, and to look for the right place, for the right information at the right time. It's also a team excellence culture. When you do this, it becomes a mindset. So 5S is a part of the Toyota production system, which is about making sure the workspace, the workplace is as organized as possible. When I think about it in terms of team excellence culture, which is related to 5S and to TPS, it's really thinking about your organization, how it functions. It's also creating that mindset in that culture that, look for your O2s, look for more organizing ways of doing things. It's about putting maybe your documents, your resources, your systems, your data, all the latest documents in one place for all your team members to access that particular O2. So what is an O2? So it's about activities and workspaces engaged by one team. So an organization, especially a complex one, for every individual contributor could have 4 or 5 or maybe 2 or 3. It depends on that organization and how it's implemented. When to use an organizing orbit. So if you have more than one system, one tool, more than one document, you should consider using an O2. Who is an organized orbit designed for? For functional teams. So as I mentioned, your homeroom team, your department team, your project team, your workstream teams, and other particular activities that you might be involved in. So any formal function teams, project and workstream teams, and anything you might touch at an organization could really have an organizing orbit. The reason I think this is important is if we don't offer enough solutions, especially in our Zoom world today, 2020. So our managers often have an overly simplified view of how easy it is to work at their organization. And oftentimes, probably 99%, I could probably say that with certainty, it is not. So it's not two puzzle pieces, same color, easy to put together. It's actually much more complex. The reality, right here in the center column here, is something that, this is probably, again, 99% of organization. There's different puzzle pieces, different colors, and none of them fit together. It's up to you to figure it out. How much time do you spend figuring out what you need to do at your company and the reality of what you need to be doing? It's pretty complex and it does take a lot of time. It's more than a learning curve. It's actually, taking in and leaning in on your productive time. So an organized system, an organizing orbit is really important to think about because it does help to solve puzzle pieces, putting together, no matter what color they are, for one picture. Now, I just wanted to clarify, this is a tech stack, and these are several that I just pulled from the web. This is really interesting to look at because they don't really tell you anything specific. They're not really giving you a direction. They're just telling you all these particular, showing you icons. That's great. Can I launch on them? No, you can't. It's something that's less easy to utilize, and it's actually not helpful at all to any organization. In fact, when I join an organization, everyone's given the same tech stack. Okay, well then what do you do with that? Every single function, every single department has a different need and has a different particular use for a tool or not. So that becomes important to think about your organizing orbit. This is an organizing orbit for a Salesforce student class. It's to really put things together that are helpful to that organization. Because I kept hearing in this particular student class, I don't know where that document is. I'm not sure where to look. Oh, there's a separate drive for this. So this class had a lot of documents and it wasn't all in one place. It wasn't easily found. I kept hearing, can you send me a link on that? I can't locate that particular PowerPoint. I don't know where the master list is. Where is the program calendar? Is it the latest? So these are things that are confounding and difficult. And guess what? Even something simple like looking for the right program calendar can take a long time because you're not certain. Somebody might have a program calendar that they pulled from a particular link they have, but it could be out of date. And so then the mystery begins with two classmates who are looking for the latest. And this is actually a concrete example. As it turned out, there were several program calendars, and so it was over time, which took probably an hour of our time collectively to find that program calendar when it should have just taken seconds. So this is important to think about. And I definitely put documents in here in an organizing orbit that I do for an organization or team. And so when I think about this, I put maybe a roadshow. These are examples, about us, process, PowerPoint. Because ultimately, how many times have you seen final, and it has a specific date on there, and you're thinking, is it really the final one? And so, you can put this in a document repository. So SharePoint, Seismic, the Box, or Dropbox. And trying to find those particular documents and understanding what the latest is really not a good use of anyone's time. And in fact, often I found in organizations, people pull the wrong document thinking they pulled the latest. So people pull what they think is the latest document to be utilizing. And in fact, they didn't do so. And so when you put this here as a manager or owner of the organizing orbit, you could say with certainty, yes, that roadshow PowerPoint, that's the latest. Don't go looking anywhere else because this will lead you to that particular link. I definitely link everything here together that is important to link together. I could make this more complex, but I decided this is pretty complex as it was. This is a maximum point that I would get to a complexity level. I put in, communication orbs and then, tools around that particular orb, trying to put together those quadrants, maybe Salesforce or Google, or maybe documents, or maybe Salesforce organizations in particular quadrants. So you can look at them and say, oh yes, my VW org, my CIT org. Let me look at the master list, or here's the knowledge management tool. And so all these things come together and easy to execute by just clicking on them. Launch and operating plan is also inclusive of marketing as well. You want to market how this is going to launch and operate over time. It's a tool that can be a center point that you refer to and your team refers to often. Talk about the intention of the O2. Earlier I mentioned the tech stack. terribly unhelpful, right? And you could say this is really to guide this particular team to find the information, maybe documents or systems, and find the right one at the right time. And being able to pull from that within seconds and not questioning whether you pulled the right document or the right data set to begin with. So calendar updated activities over time. You might want to add to this tech stack. Make sure you review and update the team so they know what's new. Adding and deleting over time, that which is logical. Maybe you refresh this on a yearly basis. So in December, maybe do this twice or 3 or 4 times a year. You want to add or delete those systems or data points that are unhelpful or that will be helpful to your organization. So refer people to the O2. That seems logical. But what I mean by that is sometimes someone might say, oh, that particular SAP instance, can you send me the link where I can access that? Well, yes, I can. I wanted to go to that Salesforce organization. Can you send me a link on that? Yes, I can. But you really want to refer them back to, yes, that is on the O2. That's the second item on the left orbit side. When I refer people to the O2, people start to look at that. They are, oh, yes, is that on the O2? Oh, yes, it is. So you become a business and process evangelist by talking about the O2, why it's important, why it works for your team, and how it could work for other teams as well. So sustainment should be the goal of your O2. That's something that's not just going to live on for the one particular year, because you're going to have people who join the organization, leave the organization. You're going to have new team members to highlight and show what an O2 is, and information does not live statically. Our systems don't live in just one place. We get new systems or retire them. We get new data sets. We get new documents. There's ways of refreshing this. And you can also elicit feedback via survey, which I definitely recommend. Very important to do. Audit your O2. What do you think is working or what isn't working? What do you think can also empower your users to use it more often? And I'd also add your O2 to your signature line. So add your O2 to your signature line. You want your team members to access that quickly, to be reminded about it as well. It's also not just being reminded, it's that you believe in it, you support it. And if you're sending an email to your CEO or to somebody outside the company, you could definitely take out that particular part of your signature line. So team meetings are important to highlight your O2, to get feedback. What is important about reviewing and highlighting in your team is to talk about what's new, talk about functionality, get feedback. And also it's a way of making your particular O2 alive all the time. So your O2, just like the actual element itself, is part of our atmosphere, and you encourage it, and that becomes part of someone else's atmosphere in terms of the business world and organization. That's important, and it's also essential. It's important to have an organization that's easy to work in, to help those team members to understand what they need to do to succeed, and making sure that the hunt is no longer on for documents or data or systems. And you could be pivotal in this. And anyone can own this. Now, I would definitely say for a team member or individual contributor, it's important for them to really maybe bring that to their project leader or maybe to their manager of their functional department. And in doing so, you'll get some sponsorship and you also get some recognition. And so that's something you can help your manager with. And maybe it's not going to be assigned to the business analyst or maybe the executive assistant, but it's something you can do. And it's a very interesting thing to do. And I believe the time commitment on this can be very small. So maybe it's a project leader, the work stream leader, or maybe the functional manager who completes this O2. And this can be done through a conversation to do this and to do this on a timely basis. So this is part of team excellence, making sure that your team is best in class and what it's executing to. And it's something that is helping you to think in terms of, say, the mindset. That mindset is something that is that growth capability of we've done this, we've done some improvements here, incremental improvements. How can we make our organizations as shining and as positive and something that people are going to talk about and think about and implement in their organizations? So stay tuned for more business topical matter, including team excellence. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time, and stay tuned for more videos to come.